Cunningham took a jab at Caitlin Clark's newest WNBA foes by signing a J.C. Sheldon trading card with a rather humorous message written across the fans' collectible.
What you just witnessed isn't just Sophie Cunningham taking a jab at J.C. Sheldon. It's the culmination of the most calculated athlete brand transformation in WNBA history. While everyone else sees an enforcer protecting her teammate, I've been connecting the digital breadcrumbs, and what emerges is a million-dollar business strategy disguised as loyalty. I'm Jackson Riley, and I specialize in the stories behind the stories. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how Sophie Cunningham turned a $400 fine into a seven-figure brand empire, and why this property of Sophie Cunningham moment represents the future of athlete marketing warfare. Here's what the other channels won't tell you. This isn't about basketball beef. This is about Sophie Cunningham executing the most sophisticated personal brand evolution in women's sports history. And she's been 3 steps ahead of everyone the entire time. Before we dive into the business, intelligence that changes everything, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. You're about to get exclusive insights into athlete brand building that marketing agencies charge 6 figures to reveal. Here's what we're uncovering today. First, the exact moment Sophie realized protection could equal profit, and how a single, flagrant foul generated more marketing value than most WNBA careers. Second, the Brady Pettigrew factor that nobody's talking about. How sophisticated fans are now manufacturing viral moments for their favorite players. And third, the merchandising empire that's been quietly building around Sophie's black belt Barbie persona, and why major brands are scrambling to capitalize on what I'm calling beef monetization. But let's start with June 17, 2025, the day Sophie Cunningham accidentally discovered the most valuable business model in women's sports. The temperature of the online conversation that day was already scorching. Caitlin Clark had been taking systematic hits all season from Kennedy Carter, Diamond DeShields, Marina Mabrey, and others. But when J.C. Sheldon poked Clark in the eye, followed by Mabrey's shove that sent the league's biggest star to the floor, something shifted in Sophie Cunningham's calculation matrix. Official sources won't tell you this, but if you follow the digital breadcrumbs, a different picture emerges. Sophie's flagrant 2 retaliation on Sheldon wasn't just emotional protection. It was the moment she realized that defending Caitlin Clark was the most valuable real estate in women's sports. Here's the data that changes everything. In the 3 days following that $400 fine, Sophie gained 700,000 TikTok followers and 244,000 Instagram followers. Marketing agencies estimated this organic growth worth over $1 million. Let me repeat that. Sophie Cunningham generated more marketing value in 72 hours than most WNBA players accumulate in entire careers. But here's what they missed. This wasn't luck. This was Sophie recognizing that in a league where Caitlin Clark generates 3x the engagement of any other player, positioning yourself as Clark's protector creates automatic viral coefficient multiplication.
Crazy. When you get Sophie Cunningham to sign a J.C. Sheldon rookie card with property of, that is crazy. That is crazy.
That reaction you just heard? That's the sound of people realizing they witnessed something unprecedented. But the story doesn't end there. Because while everyone was focused on the autograph drama, I've been investigating how Sophie turned viral moments into systematic business, empire building. The temperature of the online conversation suggests something deeper is happening here. Sophie Cunningham didn't just become Clark's enforcer. She became the architect of athlete brand warfare. And she's been executing a playbook that didn't exist until she wrote it. Let's talk about the Brady Pettigrew factor, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Brady Pettigrew, 39 years old from Anderson, Indiana, didn't just randomly ask Sophie to sign a J.C. Sheldon trading card. He orchestrated what I'm calling manufactured viral content moment creation, and it reveals how sophisticated modern WNBA fans have become in building their favorite players' brands. Pettigrew worked with his sister Tristan to specifically request the property of Sophie Cunningham message. This wasn't spontaneous fan interaction. This was calculated content creation, designed to generate maximum social media impact. And here's the part that should terrify Sophie's competitors. Fans are now actively working to manufacture viral moments for their favorite players. But Sophie's genius was recognizing the opportunity and leaning into it without hesitation. She didn't just sign the card, she branded it. She owned it. She turned fan engagement into content warfare. Now, let's examine the merchandising ecosystem that's been quietly building around Sophie's calculated persona evolution. Within days of the June incident, Sophie Cunningham jerseys sold out completely. Restocks weren't available until July 8th. But here's where it gets fascinating. Unofficial merchandise sites immediately began selling Black Belt Barbie, Sophie Cunningham shirts, indicating massive consumer demand for Sophie-branded content. The property of Sophie Cunningham, Autograph has now created an entire collectibles market. That signed J.C. Sheldon card isn't just a meme anymore. It's becoming a legitimate one-of-a-kind collectible in the sports memorabilia space. Sophie has successfully transformed beef into business.
Cunningham has been Caitlin Clark's biggest cheerleader and defender.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as You're literally dumb as
The sad truth about this video we just watched is she is the first WNBA player I have seen to openly say this out loud, publicly, and not be ashamed in declaring it. Caitlin Clark is the reason we have been talking about the WNBA. Hate it or love it, it's true. I don't believe that Caitlin Clark necessarily wants that title that everyone has been giving to her. I think she just wants to be appreciated. And Sophie Cunningham, she just seems like such a real one, such a good friend. I think especially with women, especially elite level athletes, there's a lot of people, women, who will kind of stab you in the back. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment, especially when you're good. But Sophie just seems like such a girl's girl. I really, really like her. Maybe Caitlin Clark should do the next American Eagle campaign.
What you just heard represents the nuclear option in WNBA commentary. Sophie Cunningham publicly calling critics literally dumb while defending Clark's league impact. But notice the strategic timing. This wasn't emotional outburst. This was calculated controversy designed to generate maximum engagement while positioning herself as Clark's most valuable advocate. And here's the intelligence that competitors are completely missing. Sophie's unfiltered commentary style through her podcast Show Me Something has made her a go-to source for WNBA insider perspectives. Quotes like, "You're literally dumb as fuck," aren't just viral catchphrases. They're brand differentiation in a league where most players give sanitized media responses. Sophie has created what I'm calling authentic controversy monetization. She's building a brand around saying what other players won't say publicly, and it's generating massive engagement, value. But let's connect the dots that reveal the bigger picture. Sophie's background includes earning a black belt in Taekwondo at age 6, growing up on a Missouri farm with Maw and Paw, and being the first female to score points for her high school football team as a kicker. This isn't just random biographical information. This is the foundation of carefully constructed Black Belt Barbie brand architecture. The calculated evolution from Missouri farm girl to WNBA enforcer to social media, maven to podcast personality, to merchandise empire, represents sophisticated understanding of modern athlete brand building that most players never achieve. I've been filtering through the noise, and the signals point to something unprecedented. Sophie Cunningham has created the first comprehensive athlete brand built around teammate protection monetization. She's proven that defending superstars can be more valuable than being superstars if executed with proper strategic intelligence. Reading the signals from the digital conversation, major merchandising companies are now scrambling to capitalize on what they're calling beef monetization. The business implications of viral athlete moments are becoming their own marketplace category. But here's where this gets even more strategic. Sophie's willingness to engage in calculated controversy, including recent jabs at Caitlin Clark herself, suggests she's building a complex public persona that transcends simple enforcer branding. She's creating multi-dimensional content generation capability that can drive engagement regardless of basketball performance.
Tomorrow, you're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
You know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
That testimony confirms everything we've been analyzing. Sophie's protection philosophy isn't just emotional loyalty. It's systematic brand building disguised as teammate defense. When she says, "I'm going to protect my teammates, that's what I do," she's not just describing basketball strategy, she's articulating business strategy. Her criticism of referee failure to protect Clark positions her as the solution to systematic league problems. Sophie has successfully branded herself as the answer to WNBA's biggest controversy, and that positioning is worth millions in marketing value. But the story doesn't end there. Because I've been investigating the future implications of Sophie's brand architecture, and what emerges suggests we're witnessing the birth of an entirely new athlete monetization category. The Indiana Fever versus Washington Mystics matchup on August 15th was positioned as major storyline opportunity, with fans anticipating Sophie Cunningham versus JC Sheldon round 2. But here's what they missed. Sophie's ability to generate headlines and merchandise sales regardless of on-court matchup results proves her brand has transcended basketball performance dependency. She's created sustainable controversy generation that works independent of wins, losses, or even playing time. That's the holy grail of athlete brand building, and Sophie achieved it by accidentally discovering the most valuable niche in women's sports. So what's fact and what's speculation? Let's break it down. The $1 million organic growth figure is confirmed by multiple marketing agency analyses. The merchandise ecosystem is documented through unofficial product proliferation. The strategic timing of controversial statements correlates directly with engagement spike patterns. What remains, speculation, is whether Sophie planned this evolution from the beginning or discovered it through circumstance. But the evidence suggests someone with her calculated social media presence and podcast platform understood the value of strategic positioning around Caitlin Clark's protection needs. The final piece of intelligence that changes everything involves Sophie's current trajectory. Her follower count now exceeds 1.2 million on TikTok and 800,000 plus on Instagram. Her podcast generates consistent engagement. Her merchandise demand remains high. She's built the most comprehensive athlete brand in WNBA history around a single strategic insight. Protecting Caitlin Clark is the most valuable marketing position in women's sports. That brings us to the inevitable question: Has Sophie Cunningham created a replicable model for athlete brand building, or is this a unique opportunity that existed only because of Caitlin Clark's unprecedented impact and systematic targeting patterns? Reading the signals from current WNBA dynamics, Sophie's model requires specific conditions: a transcendent superstar teammate, systematic targeting patterns that create protection opportunities, sophisticated understanding of social media, engagement mechanics, and willingness to engage in calculated controversy. Most players lack one or more of these elements. Sophie had all four, plus the strategic intelligence to recognize and capitalize on the opportunity. The temperature of the online conversation suggests Sophie Cunningham has accidentally solved the fundamental problem of WNBA athlete marketing. How to build sustainable engagement and revenue streams in a league that struggles with mainstream attention. Her answer? Position yourself as the protector of the player who generates all the attention. It's brilliant, it's calculated, and it's generated more marketing value than most WNBA careers combined. But here's where we need your input. Do you think Sophie Cunningham planned this million-dollar transformation from the beginning? Or did she stumble into the most valuable brand positioning in women's sports? Drop your analysis in the comments, because the narrative analysts in this community always bring insights I haven't considered. And while you're thinking about that, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because we're just getting started with this investigation. The business implications of athlete brand warfare are evolving rapidly, and you don't want to miss what happens when other players start copying Sophie's playbook. If this analysis helped you understand the business strategy behind the basketball drama, hit that like button and share this with anyone who needs to understand how modern athlete marketing actually works. Because at the end of the day, Sophie Cunningham didn't just protect Caitlin Clark. She protected her way into a million-dollar empire, and that changes everything about how we understand athlete brand building in the social media age.